Hi everyone. So today I'd like to talk about the status update and what it really means in my mind. Thanks Jeff, thanks for having me. I've been, a few words about myself, I've been to several startups, WeGo, Textology, most recently with Microsoft, and then from the we, I started thinking about the we. What does it mean? Why, what do all those status updates mean? As a collective and as a singlets, etc. And so there are about 400 million of us on Facebook for Facebook's official stats. I've seen some other stats as well. 200 active users, by the way, 200 million of which log in on any given day. Jeff just told me that there was 135 or so mil users on Twitter. And so there are a whole bunch of us, right? Socially connected folks out there. And that's an obvious, right? And then what seems in my mind even more astounding is the number of tweets and status updates that occur each and every day. 50 million or so on Twitter, 60 mil on status updates, and of course some of these are also tweets on Facebook. And the number is astounding. Think about it for a minute. It's mind-boggling. 600 tweets per second, every single second. Wow. And so, with so many tweets and status updates and infolets out there, it got me thinking about why. Why do we update? What makes us go ahead, write in the status, maybe check in, of course, or whatever mechanism we use to update our status, but why do we do that on a repetitive basis? What makes us want and wish to update all the time? And the first thought was it's probably about communications, right? It's a way to communicate, to convey a message from you onward to the rest of the world, or rather to a significant portion of that world for you, which is your social followers or friends and what have we. But communication, even if it's a two-way communication, when one updates and there are retweets and replies or likes or comments or what have we, still you might agree that there are more socially adequate ways to do a two-way communication, right? Chat within social nets, external to that, texting, etc., etc. But the way we update is more like, probably a Hyde Park type of situation where you just spit out something and people yay or nay or what have we. And then I thought, so it's not really classic, it's a type of communication, but a new form, and maybe it's sharing, right? Because sharing is a norm that's used quite often. But is it really sharing? I mean, when we think about sharing, when I think about sharing, it's something finite, like a lunch you have and you give to a starving child or what have we, right? Something more like that. Whereas, when you talk about your forthcoming vacation to Hawaii, it's type of sharing, but in my mind, from a philosophical level, it's a bit more, and I mean this in the most positive sense, by the way, it's more like bragging or saying positive things onto yourself or onto whoever you want to be online. And so the word that came to mind is promotion, right? It's promote, one of the 4 P's in the marketing mix. There's products, price, place, and promotion. And this really seems to be, status updates in my mind seem to be a lot of, often about self-promotion, whether we acknowledge it or not. My 8-year-old and my 12-year-old kids do that, self-promote, whether they know it or not. And we do it all the time as well. Because even when we check into a coffee shop somewhere that's kind of crappy, but we go ahead and check in, or we want to, we share something, it's us conveying, it's becoming a part of us, part of the message we want to convey about ourselves, who we are, what we want to be perceived as. And so when we look at all this, all of these updates and all this noise occurring out there, a lot of it has to do with self-serving. Even if it's for a greater cause, even if it's in favor of the environment, in favor of this cause or another, it's still a self-serving need that we fulfill. And that got me thinking a bit about the types of new associations, because if you think about it, it's really a new association we're creating between ourselves and objects, right? Objects that we either like, or we follow, or we tweet. And then when I say how great my iPad is, yes, I'm promoting and the iPad, but am I not promoting myself by associating myself with something that really doesn't need my singular promotion right now? There are obviously millions of people out there who think it's great. But it's more promoting the brand of me, the brand of I, and associating myself with products, brands, and things that I find interesting and cool is really the new way of us positioning ourselves as individuals, each and every one of us, each and every one of the 400 million users on Facebook and 135 million on Twitter. And when we talk about associations, we can think about how the old media or how old school advertising used to work, and still does today, right? A brand that wants to be perceived as a, so if you're a brand, imagine yourself as a brand manager of, I don't know, a car of some sort, maybe an ecological one that runs a hybrid or what have you, and you want it to become cool. What do you go ahead and do? You go to your agency and you talk to the ad agency and you tell, hey, I got this car, blah, blah, blah. Let's create copy, very cool text, get a great looking model to flash her or his smile next to the car, and people will associate the smile, et cetera, with the car. Then let's put that ad, commercial, next to great content, be it buildings in Times Square, be it commercials on the season premiere of Lost, be it a huge banner or a video insert in one of the leading sites. And then step 3 is users see great content, users see your ad, and they associate, right? They associate the whole thing, your brand, it lifts the product up. So that's how old media and traditional media used to work, whether it's on the internet or even older school type of media. Today, it seems, on social networks, the process became a bit switched, right? Because it is now we, us, the brands, that we associate ourselves with this new content, which is the old brands, right? So you see people following Abercrombie and Fitch and Hugo Boss and Fender guitars and tons of brands because it says something about themselves. And it's the new way they add clothes to the virtual clothes to the virtual closet by adding all those brands onto themselves and walking around flashing and talking and making all these discussions. And don't take my word for it. Look at the number of tweets that have product references. Out of 600 tweets per second, 83 contain product or brand references. We love to talk about brands, about products, about our opinions on that, and they become part of us. And so this new reversal of roles where we, the users, go ahead and fetch the brand rather than the brands go and push themselves onto us, I think is very interesting and compelling. And I'd like to leave you with a few questions and a few thoughts about what do we do, how are we going to leverage that? How is the new, so a lot of the discussion was about the rapport between brands and consumers, et cetera, and so on and so forth. I think the opportunity really arises to think about this new ecosystem that could be and will be probably created, where users convey the messages of the brand because that's what they want to do, not because they have to do it. And you'll see it. Al talked about food here and about Feed Me, for example. So that would be probably one interesting way to see how people just go to restaurants, review it of their own will, and hey, they carry out the restaurant's message, not because they want to promote the restaurant, because they want to promote themselves. They are the experts. They understand more about food, about iPads, about food cars, and what have you. So I think it's a very interesting space to explore about how these new ecosystem, what opportunities to now promote and leverage this self-promotion would be for brands. Thank you very much.